is like a jackpot for beginners. Sometimes you get lucky sevens and tell your opponent to eat shit. However, most of the time, it is them who are eating shit. For more experienced players, aim is a somewhat natural instinct, but instinct doesn't equal skill. Sometimes you are putting your muscle memory to the jackpot on whether you can hit on target, and sometimes you just don't. A quick note, I am not an aim god, nor am I a competitive player. I am mostly a casual player. Heck, I can't even pass a score of 130 in aim laps. But my tips for you today should be able to help you in your journey to be better at your next game in terms of aim. There are some things to take note before we go in. The two main ways that aim is utilized is either flicking or tracking. Tracking is a very natural skill and develops from habit, thus I won't touch on it. Flicking is also a habitual skill that develops more from practice. Secondly, there are multiple ways to aim. I have my own way, but do take my advice with a mountain of salt, as it may not apply to your style of aiming. Okay, that should be all in terms of disclaimers. Let's get right to it! By the way, because Team Fortress 2 has many single-shot weapons that require a high degree of accuracy, I shall use it as the game for demonstration. And also because this is a TF2 video, so there you go! In gaming, there will be a hard barrier to aiming better if your settings are out of whack. Too low of a sensitivity calls for excessive arm action that can undershoot a target, while it being too high would increase chances of overshooting a target. However, this is also a subjective decision. Some gamers like to use their entire arm, while others like me would prefer to use wrists only. In mouse settings, DPI refers to the mouse sensor's dots activated per linear inch. Each of these dots that detect a change to the surface you have your mouse and triggers fixed movement intervals on your screen. Then, the magnification number in your game just signifies the distance on screen per dot traveled. Do note that these values have no unit of measurement. For my TF2 settings, I have my G Pro X Superlight mouse set to 3200 dpi with in-game sensitivity set at 0.8x. This allows me to not use my elbow at all, but can still make micro adjustments to aim. For gamers that make use of their elbow to aim, I recommend 1600 dpi at 1x in-game, particularly TF2. Next, you have to disable mouse acceleration in-game and in Windows. Mouse acceleration causes inconsistent aim, destroying the purpose of having a mouse over a controller for its one-to-one physical to screen movement. Sometimes you wonder, how do FPS pros improve their aim in a shorter amount of time? One of the answers? Aim training. It's not just me. FPS coaches also recommend their students to use them too. Aim training trains your brain to develop muscle memory, to tell your arm muscles to know precisely what the heck to do. It also warms you up to remember how to aim accurately. I personally use aim labs. It is currently free to use completely, even though it is still a beta and ridden with bugs. However, I find it useful as an aim training tool. There are also many aim exercises that are created by other people. I use the grid shot 3x3 as a flicking exercise that I find relative to my aiming method. More on that later. Other aim trainers like Kovacs are also good options to aim train. Just make sure your mouse sensitivity in-game is the same as that for your aim trainer. Finally, we get to the less boring shit. How to apply your aiming skill in my favorite game, TF2. As I alluded to earlier, Team Fortress 2 is a very precision-based game due to its plethora of single-shot weapons, with the primary exception of heavy. Guns like the Bazaar Bargain and Widowmaker rewards good aim. For this video, I will focus on medium to close range weapons. I will use the shotgun as an example too. For context, I mean soldier, engineer, and medic. Only engineer uses a mid to close range hit scan weapon as a primary weapon, while the other two have projectile weapons as primaries. Hit scan weapons, like guns, cause the target to be hit immediately after shooting, while projectile weapons require the munition to travel the distance before it hits the target. Thus, hit scan weapons require you to shoot on target, while projectile weapons require you to track where your targets are going and shoot that way. Prediction is a whole different skill that I'll not get into today. I shall carry out this session cooking show style by showing the process to shooting your opponent in his ugly face. So, this is how I execute a full kill using the shotgun. Now, let's break it down. First part of this process is not moving your mouse excessively outside of engagement. Extra movement that you make throws off your natural aiming method, as your hand will not be in a neutral position. The neutral position refers to the state where your hand, wrist, and arm are in a top view straight line. After you fix your target and commit to sending him back to the respawn kill, you go on to part 2, your first flick. Don't move your wrist or fingers yet, keep your mouse still. This allows you to wait out any of the opponent's sudden movements. Then, once you feel confident, flick your hand and wrist to put your crosshair onto your opponent. As you are moving, press mouse 1 on him. This pretty much guarantees that your shot will land on that opponent once you stop moving. Great! You landed some fat damage on your opponent. However, you have not killed that guy and he's moving to engage you. You need to land your next shot. But how? You may be tempted to hold down your mouse button to fire the second shot. However, that's slightly stupid. Other than getting offended, you might wonder, why is that stupid? Isn't firing shots in quick succession a surefire way to finish off the enemy gamer? Well, in my opinion, no. First, holding on your mouse creates unnecessary muscle tension that restricts movement and mouse control, which may cause you to miss your target on consecutive shots. Secondly, not every gamer you meet is a noob that will stand still and take it. Even if the opponent doesn't retaliate immediately, they will at least pull off some movement shenanigans to throw you off. Here is how you do it correctly, Secunda style. After you fire your first shot, keep your hand in a neutral position and keep your crosshair in the same location. You may make some small finger movements to adjust your crosshair. When the reload animation starts or half a second later, flick towards your target again and shoot. Repeat this for consecutive shots until your opponent goes down, and voila! You learned the basics of good aim. TF2 doesn't just require you to have good aim, thus I have a list of small tips for you to win your matchups in relation to aim. Tip number 1. Move unpredictably or move in the same direction as your enemy. Either of these choices can, ironically or not, make flicking an easier task in a stressful situation. Tip number 2. Focus on the target, not your crosshair. It is much better to use your muscle memory to flick towards your enemy than using your crosshair as reference, which may cause you to overshoot or undershoot. Tip number 3. Be sneaky. As the saying goes, it is much easier to unalive an enemy gamer if he didn't know you were there. Do make use of flank routes and sneaky positions to ambush your enemy so that you can have a longer time window to finish him off. If you have watched to this point in the video, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully I convinced you to improve your aiming and just slightly come up on top in your matchups, especially in TF2. With that said, aiming is not the only skill needed to be good in TF2. Game sense and movement also matter a lot. Perhaps I could do further guides to improve those too? Comment what you'd like to see. This was the biggest video project I've embarked on, especially with my real voice. Hopefully it was enjoyable to watch. This is all for the video. Please like the video if you liked it and subscribe. It does help many small YouTubers like me a lot. I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.